Dolovinangu ya dolosana angito talita kini anavarong ng Bula FM e Golden Point Resort basendo nambando na here vinaka.
Bula vinaka na adang kutevita utungboy 90 ando talita wale varong ng Bula FM nambando na sir.
Nadang ko makilesi werkraki NSB ng Bula FM nambando na sir.
Elong ratu kitchen ko tabo ando talita na varong ng Bula FM nambando na sir ngo lusu.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Tonight, parents of murdered teenager plead for information on their daughter's killer. New permanent secretaries briefed about their roles in public office. And schools on Koro Island reopen a month after tropical cyclone Winston. Prime Minister Bainimarama says Fiji does not have the capacity to rebuild on its own in the wake of Cyclone Winston's destruction. Bainimarama says the future of Fiji's infrastructure will mean building back better, smarter, and with the help of our international partners. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
Thank you.
The agenda was the induction of new permanent secretaries, but in only his second formal address since Tropical Cyclone Winston, Prime Minister Bainimarama was reflective.
It has tested the resilience of our people to cope with the loss of their loved ones, their homes and possessions. And it has been one of the biggest tests of the Fijian character in the entire history of these islands.
Calling it a baptism of fire for all of the permanent secretaries, Bainimarama says rebuilding for the future is now a key priority.
It means building more sturdy structures, whether it is home or public buildings. Roofs less more firmly to walls, screws holding those structures together instead of nails, our overhead electricity cables placed underground instead of being brought down by the winds and depriving us of power. The cost of doing all of this will be way beyond our current resources and capacity, and we are going to have to look to the world for financial assistance.
Recounting his personal experience given the visits to TC Winston ravished communities, the PM stressed the public service vision to be a beacon of trust and an instrument of service. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Classes have resumed today for most schools on Koro Island, a month after tropical cyclone Winston ravaged the island. However, some students will not be returning to their schools. Ellen Stolz tells us why.
47-year-old Akanisi Mbalewai and her 3 children lived through the worst of tropical cyclone Winston in Nakondu village on Koro Island. She has since sent her children off to Suva.
The high school here is damaged, so they are staying with my sister because I have a daughter in Form 6, another in Form 4, and my youngest is in Class 6.
This is Koro High School, the only secondary school on the island. Broken chairs, windows, walls missing, and roofs have been damaged. Classes have been moved to temporary tents provided by UNICEF. Appearing on Fbctv's For the Record last week, Education Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy confirmed classes will begin on Koro today.
After discussion with the Prime Minister, we decided that we will probably wait for to start next week because of 2 reasons. One, teachers were still coming back because there was no place for them to stay. And secondly, we wanted the PM wanted the parents to get back.
The minister says many schools Fiji-wide have been affected. However, life must move on.
But 80% of the students were outside the cyclone. So it's the 20% that bothers us that were affected. And we do hope that with additional support from teachers, we will be able to give them the same kind of learning support as the ones which are following the non-cyclone affected areas.
Like Koro Island, schools in all cyclone affected areas have had to resort to temporary tents to ensure classes resume and that hundreds of students aren't affected. Ellen Stolz, FBC News.
The Ministry of Health has received a major boost with reproductive health kits worth $230,000 handed over by the United Nations Population Fund. The kits will further enhance their post-tropical Cyclone Winston recovery efforts. Ali Kimbia has more.
The arrival of these 11 different kits is timely for the ministry, which badly needs reproductive health equipment, medicines and supplies for the worst affected areas.
And will ensure that infection prevention measures are adhered to even under emergency situations. I am also thankful that some of these kits also cover equipment and supplies for the management of emergency obstetric and newborn care to ensure that skilled health workers can perform life-saving interventions.
With 214 health facilities sustaining varying degrees of damage, UNFPA says the health kits will cover the needs of more than 450,000 people over 3 months.
These kits also can be used for what we call the case of gender-based violence. Also to have special kits that can be used in this case. So again, these are kits for health service providers, maternity centers, and also referral level hospitals.
Some of these kits have autoclaving equipment, which means it can use alternative power sources or with limited supply of electricity. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
The parents of 14-year-old Mere Alievu, who was found dead on a beach a week ago, say they won't rest until justice is served. Sainiani Boiler reports the family won't find peace until the personal people behind the heinous act face punishment. Sainiani Boiler with this.
Mere's parents have been having sleepless nights since they found her body at the beach in Deumba Pacific Harbour last Monday. Her mother, Silly Kenny, says she will never forget the sight.
We always celebrate Palm Sunday together as a one big happy family. And for Palm Sunday yesterday, it's a totally different story. Mary's face keeps appearing to my mind and I knew I will never see her again.
Silly says Mary, being the eldest, always helped out in looking after her 5 siblings. The teenager's father, Kameli Wasamavenru, has urged the community to help the police with any information they may have regarding the brutal attack.
I'm urging members of the public to help out with the police in trying to hunt those who had done this filthy act to my daughter. I know that we are serving a God that knows everything. He will also help me and my wife know what actually happened to Mary.
A team of police officers are investigating the murder, while round the clock, police patrols are being run at the Wunimbombo settlement in Deumba where Mary lived. 6 men are being questioned and were later released. Sainiani Mboela, FBC News.
There may be power outages in Vitilevu over the Easter long weekend as the Fiji Electricity Authority carries out a major operation at the Monosavu Dam. Supply will switch to diesel generators as the FEA shuts down the Monosavu Dam in order to replace its main inlet valve. Akosita Tale reports.
Every contingency has been taken in the $4.5 million exercise that begins at 9:30 Thursday night. Even before this, massive amounts of water in the Monosavu Dam tunnel will be emptied out over a 10-hour period.
Once it's empty, then it will be enable us to actually start working on the old valve, remove it, and then replace it with the new valve. It's a fairly laborious exercise. It could take anything up to 3 to 5 days. Monosavu hydro scheme or the Wailoa power station will be shut off during the Easter period, and we'll be relying mainly on our diesel power stations throughout Vitilevu, also the Wainikasau hydro power station, and hopefully Nandari Vatu power station.
While the Monosavu hydro scheme is offline over 4 days, FEA Chief Executive Hasmukh Patel says diesel generators will kick in to cover for Vitilevu's electricity needs.
Should in the event one of our big sets, whether the diesel or the hydro comes down or goes out of service for some reason, then some customers could expect a power outage, which we will try to put them back into service, the customers who have lost it, as soon as possible.
If all goes according to plan, the FAA says there will be no power sharing or power outages. Work is expected to end on Monday afternoon so that the Monasavo hydropower station is back online to meet the demands of the people as the working week begins. Ako si Tatalei, FBC News.
Still to come, New Zealand movie production with Fiji links.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hola, my name is General from Rakiriki Village. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Valeu. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Tilipa from Tavor Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Reactions to grief are different for every person. Some people react right away and others contain their feelings. In the wake of Tropical Cyclone Winston, some children and adolescents may suffer from emotional and psychological trauma. Parents, guardians and teachers need to be aware of the red flag behaviors that can signal emotional upset or lingering trauma.
Lots of crying or not sleeping well, being really clingy to their parents or not wanting to go out of the house, being more quiet than usual, or they might be asking a lot of questions, as in what happened, how did it happen, or they might be reenacting certain parts of the disaster through play and drawing.
Dr. Curran says when childhood issues are not resolved, a sense of fear and helplessness can carry over into adulthood, setting the stage for further problems. She says it's important right now in the wake of a national disaster for adults to spend more quality time than ever with their children. If they recognize the signs of psychological stress or fear, there is help available.
There has been a traumatic event that has happened in terms of this disaster, and if you're upset and you're crying and you're not happy about this, these are some normal reactions that you'll be feeling. And crying doesn't make you a weak person. Seeking help doesn't make you a weak person.
The Ministry of Health will be deploying teams to priority zones around the country to carry out Talanoa sessions and further assessments on the emotional well-being of Fijians. Discrimination and stigma are an obstacle in the proper development of children with Down syndrome in Fiji. On World Down Syndrome Day, Suva Special School President Veronica Tom says celebrating such an event is important in changing society's perception of people with disabilities. Kelly Vavala has the details.
These students at Hilton Special School have Down syndrome, a congenital disorder that causes intellectual impairment and physical abnormalities. Tom says children with this disability are just like any other normal child.
A Down syndrome child, some of it affects their ability to eat. You'll notice some of them affects their ability to walk. There's different levels of ways that the children can be affected, and the parents have to learn to deal with that.
Disability trainer Lisa Rowland says that people with disabilities are still being stigmatized by society due to their condition.
All people with disabilities have a lot to bring to their community. They're a really important part of being involved and learning to live in the moment and embracing life. Mainly the challenge is about lack of acceptance in some areas of the community and still some discrimination and stigma.
Today marks the 11th anniversary of World Down Syndrome Day. Each year, the voice of people with Down syndrome and those who work and live with them grows louder. Kelly Vavala, FBC News.
The female lead character for the movie Three Wise Cousins, Gloria Offa Blake, says culture and knowing who you are and where you come from is a part of her life. Blake, whose ethnicity originates from both Fiji and Tonga, says she's glad to have Pacific connections, and that's evident in her movie, which was released a month ago. Shireen Shivan spoke to Blake today.
And the reason that Adam, the main guy, makes the initiative to go to the islands and find out about his culture. I'm the reason for change for Adam. And you come from, there's a true story and message in it.
Around 50 Indians from Holland are here as part of their tour of Asia including countries like Taiwan, Australia and Fiji. They're here to celebrate the sacred Hindu festival of colour known as Holi. We spoke to one of the tourists, 35-year-old Kirtie Ramdas, about her trip to Fiji. She says she is happy to be in Fiji and is particularly surprised at how many people of Indian descent live in Fiji.
It feels a little bit like home, even though it's like 16,000 kilometers away from my actual home and it's 12 hours apart. But I didn't know that there's so many Indians, and even all these people are even talking Hindi, and it feels so good to be able to celebrate such a beautiful holiday like Holi together with people you don't even know before, and then you celebrate the new year together, so it's quite symbolic, yeah, for me.
The team visited the Broadcasting Corporation today. Sports up next. Here's Jamie with the very latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. In sports after the break. Good news for Paralympics Fiji with an athlete qualifying for Rio. And more teams expected in next year's Pacific Challenge. This and more coming up.
मैं हूँ रेहान खान गुरबो तालेबू के जैसे फेस्टिवल ए ग्रेड है गुरबो में उसी तरह मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है गुरबो में
एलिन लटका में मिर्ची एफएम को लॉक कर दिया जाए मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
हम नकाशी से साइमान है हमारा फेस्टिवल जैसे नंबर 1 है वैसे मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है
माय नेम इज दिनेश हम नैंडी में काम करता है स्लीपिंग जायंट जिपलाइन में और मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट आई लाइक इट
मिर्ची एफएम
Fiji's Paralympic athletes are continuing to hit the headlines with their world-class performances. The association received good news this morning after one of its athletes qualified for the Paralympics to be held in Brazil. Vashnil Prasad reports.
Fiji Paralympics Association has achieved a milestone after Pelim Bolaimbau qualified for Rio Paralympics. Bolaimbau recorded a jump of 1.74 meters in the Asia Oceania Championships high jump event in Dubai earlier this month to meet the qualification mark.
He's a high jumper, T47, and congratulations to him and his coach, Ben Ingumi. Job well done from training from a few months back. We also like to thank all those who've been supporting so far.
Bolaimbau qualified with a standard point and his place in Paralympics was confirmed today.
It's to jump the height of 1.74 and the qualifying jump for A standard in this class for Rio is 1.65. So the confirmation just came in this morning and congratulations to him and the coach and a big boost for the organization.
The association will now focus on sending the star athlete overseas for training. The Paralympics has set a target to send 2 athletes to Rio. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
World Rugby says the door is open for more teams to compete in the Pacific Challenge next year. Since the Argentina Panthers and Canada A withdrew to compete in the North American tournament, the level of competition in the Pacific Challenge has dropped. Talendada Kadaga has more.
The Fiji Warriors prevail as the dominant team in this year's Pacific Challenge, recording victories of 20 points or more over rival teams in the round robin. We asked Michael Groom, the World Rugby Tournament Director, if Junior Japan, Samoa A and Tonga A are not able to match the intensity of the Warriors at the regional level, is it time for World Rugby to bring in tougher opposition for our local ruggers?
It basically is a regional tournament, for the regional teams. But look, we'd welcome competitive teams if that is to happen. But we've got a pretty solid base. It's the teams and the coaches know it's a very prestigious, well-run tournament. So we'll just have to see what happens over the next 12 months.
World Rugby's trial laws and point system being used in the tournament have been well received by the 4 participating teams.
Lovely pair of hands, infield it goes, and Tuilavala runs away, and Tuilavala gets the 3rd try for
We've had positive feedback from the teams. Like I said, they have adjusted well across the course of the tournament, and we'll be providing that feedback back to World Rugby so they can put that with the rest of the feedback at the end of the year to decide which ones go forward.
Whether or not more competitive teams join the competition, the Pacific Challenge allows second-string regional teams to play against each other in a structured and professional environment. This provides much-needed exposure for local players. Talento Takadaka, FBC Sports.
And Chale joins us live now from ANZ Stadium. Chale, fewer teams and trial lows in this year's Pacific Challenge. What can the Pacific rugby teams take away from this year's tournament?
Yes, Jamie, I'm here at the ANZ Stadium for the final match of the 2016 World Rugby Pacific Challenge. I'm here with the tournament director from World Rugby, Michael Groom. Michael, just how important is this tournament for these participating teams from previous years right up to this year?
Well, it's very important. It's obviously exposes to local-based players from each of the three islands, as well as Japan, to the rigours of international competition. It also exposes referees and coaches to, international competition as well. And through this tournament, we've conducted the closed law trials, World Rugby closed law trials, which the teams have adjusted to well, and also the referees will go on to other tournaments. It's particularly Fave Nuro from Samoa, who will referee at the World Junior Trophy in Zimbabwe later in the year.
Thank you, Michael. Well, there you have it, the importance of the World Rugby Pacific Challenge to these four participating teams. And right behind me is the final underway between the Telecom Fiji Warriors and Samoa A. Telecom Fiji Warriors currently leading by 8 points to 0 through a penalty try that was just awarded minutes earlier. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for that, Chale. Meanwhile, earlier on, Tonga A finished the Pacific Challenge tournament on a high, defeating Junior Japan 44-30 in the third place playoff. Reo will host Mbai Nausori when the Vodafone Premier League football competition resumes next weekend. Ba won last year's Inter-District Championships, while Rewa took out the Battle of the Giants tournament, making next week's clash even more interesting. Rohit Deo caught up with the Delta Tigers president and filed this report.
Races away, and he comes with a cross and play.
It'll be a battle of the champions when Rewa takes on Ba in the Vodafone Premier League next weekend. Delta Tigers team president Nazil Bak says it's always tough to play in Ba.
We have 3 players who have applied for release, and one we have already released, Satreki Hughes, and the other one is Johnny Kalotangi and Michele Nambuka. Nothing has been finalized on the other two's release.
Bucks adds it'll be good to have the match at Ratu Zakambau Park, despite the facility being partly damaged by Tropical Cyclone Winston.
It's a big match. Anytime when Ba and Rewa plays, it's always a big match. And but according to Town Council, the Pavilion B won't be open. It will be closed for the public, but I think there is enough space over there. And
in other matches next weekend, Reketi plays Nandronga and Lotoka in Vitilevu, who leads the points table with 6 points. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Manchester United teenager Marcus Rashford wrote another chapter in his fairy tale introduction to top-flight football, scoring a brilliant goal to secure a 1-0 win in his first derby match against Manchester City. The victory has moved Man United within 1 point of fourth-placed Manchester City. In another game today, Newcastle United held 7th-place Sunderland to a 1-1 draw. The Fiji Under-21 table tennis women's side won their first match at the Oceania Table Tennis Championships in Australia yesterday. Sisters Sally and Gracie defeated a combined team from New Zealand, French Polynesia and Tuvalu by 3 games to 2. After going down in the first game by 3 sets to 1, Fiji bounced back to win the next 2 games by 3 sets to 2. Meanwhile, Pacific Sprint King Banuve Tambakaudoro finished in 4th position at the Australian Championships, clocking a time of 21.74 seconds. That is your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, a movie that has been building up over the years, has been launched in Suva.
Over the weeks, we've been getting a lot of bookings, so please do your advance bookings for in all 3 of our sites at Tamoto City, at Village 6 and Village 4. Not forgetting that it'll be a great time after the Easter weekend to come up, and it's a great time to bring families and all.
Warm temperatures, overcast skies and scattered showers mark the weather across the nation today. Suva and Mombasa hit 32, Nandi and Savu 31, Lautoka 30 and Ba 29. The high humidity made it feel even warmer. Tomorrow is expected to be another warm, humid day with cloudy skies and scattered showers. Looking ahead to Wednesday, more of the same, cloudy, warm with some rain. The marine forecast calls for light winds and moderate seas. Recapping the main stories for tonight, parents of murdered 14-year-old plead for information on a killer, and new permanent secretaries briefed on their roles in public office. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Results from last week's poll question, we had asked, are you happy with the current Fiji Sevens rep? 81% answered yes, 19% answered no. And our question for this week is Fiji progressing well after Tropical Cyclone Winston? To answer, visit our FBC website. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Bye for now.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asino. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Mulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM, it rocks in Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.